Hey, salut, c'est Marie, Just French It. Now, today we are going to discuss learning French in 6 months. Is it possible? What can you actually do in 6 months? And more importantly, how can you do that? If you don't know me, je suis Marie, I am a native French teacher and I speak on the internet about language learning. I'm fluent in Français and English and I'm currently learning Svenska. If you wish to follow me, subscribe and check the description. I send daily emails filled with my best tips to take your French to the next level. Alright, so 6 months to learn French. Wow, that's a challenge. So, first, I guess we should answer the question what actually is possible to do in 6 months, because that's actually, the core of this. And you gotta know that you won't be able to be fluent in 6 months. That's just not possible. But 6 months is a good length of time to be conversational and to be able to understand most of the common vocabulary. In 6 months, you can be comfortable enough to keep learning on your own. So you come from a place where you don't know anything to a place where you are comfortable to learn on your own. In 6 months, your level would suffice to think about moving abroad, for example. You won't be comfortable all the time, you won't get everything of what people are saying, and you'll still have trouble expressing certain ideas. But you should be able to be confident enough to speak and get around daily life. That is, obviously, if you are strategical about your learning, because, if you don't do anything correctly, if you don't have the right methods and techniques and, ways to get there, it won't work. And in fact, I'm going to tell you that your number one goal, if you want to learn French in 6 months, is going to be to get the basics down. What do I actually mean by getting the basics down, right? Well, so have a listen to this, because this is where I'm telling you how to learn French in 6 months. If I were you, obviously you are going to need to adapt this plan to your personal goals and situation, but I would first learn as many basic sentences as possible. And yes, I did say sentences. So think about conversation sentences. Hello, how are you? I'm fine. What's up? I live in Amiens. Can I have something specific? Etc., etc. All of that. Those sentences, you are going to learn them by heart. I know generally people and teachers are telling you that learning by heart is not necessarily the best way to go about it, but learning them by heart is going to enable you to do something after that we'll see in the second part of this plan. When you are learning those sentences by heart, you need to concentrate on being able to say those sentences correctly with the right pronunciation. And this is actually extremely important, as it's going to be your base of French pronunciation, right? And if you don't have the right pronunciation, you'll end up with, a bad French pronunciation. And believe me, first off, it's very hard to correct it. And second, if people can't get you, then you don't really speak French. Yeah. So after you learn those basic sentences, you arrive at a point where you can have a short conversation with someone, because you know the sentences by heart. You know the words by heart. You know the sentences. So it's kind of a reflex for you, if you will. So on the side of that, when you are starting to get to that level where you are able to concentrate, to communicate, in simple terms with someone, you are going to start taking a look at grammar. I never advise you to start with grammar, because simply you need some material to illustrate what grammar is. You need some words to use with your grammar, basically. Grammar is something, the rules of grammar, you can only use them if you know words, right? So that's why you've learned those sentences and those words within those sentences before. Because you started with the sentences and words and expressions and learning by heart, you already know those sentences. You already have the examples to apply your grammar to, and grammar is just going to come to you much more easily. You're going to be able to make sense of what you are learning, which makes, learning easier. And who doesn't want to make grammar easier on you, right? So Your goal with grammar is going to be able to understand the big picture of sentence structure and a few tenses, obviously. You are arriving to that level where it's practical. You know the practical rules you need to be able to form sentences. And if you are already at that point in your learning, if you know sentences but that you are a bit lost when it comes to building your own sentences or conjugated verbs, etc., then you should take a look at Cruelty-Free French Grammar. And I've put the link in the description below the video, so go and check that because this is really going to help you. So after this second phase, you have the first phase where you are learning sentences by heart, the second phase where you are getting into grammar and understanding the sentences that you already learned with grammar. And at this point, you are able to say sentences, you know some words, and you understand how it all comes together. So this is where the last step is going to arrive, and it is going to get deep in the list of vocabulary, in the list of, I'm going to advise you to take a look at the most common words list. Because now you need to feel this knowledge, you need to mix the sentences, and so what you need, your material for that, is going to be vocabulary. And I'll put a link to the list of the most common words, the most common French words, in the description below this video, and also a link to an article of mine on the topic, in which I'm talking about the ways to use this list of the most common words. So yes, this final phase of your 6-month program is going to be to learn vocabulary. You don't need to bother with more grammar, as this will come after if you want to dig deeper and learn more after the 6 months. At this point, what is going to be practical for you is getting as much as vocabulary to help you communicate more and more on different topics. So this is the plan, right? I'm going to recap this. Your first phase is going to be to learn basic sentences by heart, to be able to speak as quickly as possible, to concentrate on, and by doing that, you can concentrate on pronunciation. Then the second phase is going to be to learn the basics of grammar, to be able to understand how the sentences you've learned are constructed and modify them to fit your needs, actually. And then get to the third phase, which is the longest, can you say that? The longest phase in your 6-month program is going to be to get plenty of vocabulary in. So this is the plan that I would personally follow to learn French in 6 months. And I've put plenty of links for you in the description, links to material that you are going to need if you want to learn French in 6 months. So check that right now. And remember, this is my last advice for you. If you want extremely good results with this plan, you are going to need to invest time in this. So daily practice, I think, is necessary, especially for such a short period of time. Some sort of at-home immersion too, with movies, YouTube, books, and definitely someone to practice with. A teacher, a tutor, or a friend. And yeah, that comes with it as well, good material to check. And please adapt this plan to your own situation, because if you need to be able to write much more than speaking, then you need to concentrate on writing more than speaking. If you want to speak, then you need to speak, right? And if it's for traveling, for example, where you need to concentrate on travel vocabulary and travel phrases, right? Etc., you get the drill. You need to adapt this to your own situation. So that's it for today. Remember to subscribe to Just French It. Leave me a review on iTunes if you are on iTunes right now and if you like this episode. And I'll see you next time. Salut!